Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to BNR's daily transfer show. It's me, Teen, all the way from Turkey. I'm on my work trip, but there was no way I was going to miss any transfer shows. We are on our way to 20K. So, for those of you that are on, please do like and subscribe to the channel. We're trying to give you as much content as possible. So, here we go. I'm going to start off with Malik Fofana, as you guys have seen in on the thumbnail. We received some sort of news last night in regards to Malik Fofana, in regards to the links, and it was from Tanziolic, and the news came out that Liverpool have begun discussions with Malik Fofana's agents. This actually news broke late last night in regards to Malik Fofana. And look, in regards to Fofana, I've not really seen much of him, but I did see him then for Leon in them games against Man United. And if I'm honest, he looked really, really good. I was really impressed with the young winner. He seemed like a player that's going to be that's if he makes the right sort of move, he will be destined for really really good things in his future, and as a really big and a bright future ahead of him. In terms of the Liverpool links, I would be very happy. I think a lot of people out there do see the ceiling that Malik Fofana has. And if we were to go in for Malik Fofana, I'd be happy. I'd take him as an understudy to Cody Gakpo. He's only 21. He has a lot. There's a really really high ceiling, and he can take it to his game to the next sort of level. But if that means selling Luis Diaz and bringing in Malik Fofana, I want to see a number nine coming together with Malik Fofana. Then okay, then I'm happy and I'm good to go. I looked at some of Malik Fofana's stats, and his stats seem pretty good. Especially for if you look at how old he is and how many games he's played in the Europa League, I think his stats were really, really good. When you look at his progressive carries, again, he looks like a player who can dribble the ball, can go in on the inside and the outside, and that's one area I've always felt Liverpool have lacked. They're not being able to don't have a player that's good enough to go on the outside. Malik Fofana possesses plenty of them characteristics. He's good enough on the ball. He can beat a man, go on the inside and the outside, and he's had a decent season at Leon. And to be fair, I thought against Man United he was unbelievable when Leon went down to 10 men. They should have actually won the game if it wasn't for that late comeback from United. So I really like the look of him. What do I make of these links as a whole? I'll be honest, ideally, everybody knows my thoughts. I've wanted players the likes of, Anthony Gordon, the Barcolas of this world, and also, Nico Williams, who looks like he's going to Barcelona. But if we're looking at somebody who's young, who has a really high ceiling, and whose fee makes sense and whose wages won't be crazy high. I read somewhere that he wants to emulate the likes of Sadio Mane and Mohamed Salah. He mentioned this, I think, a few months ago that Liverpool is his agent came out and mentioned that Liverpool is his first choice. If he had the chance to go there, it'd be a massive move for him. Again, he'd like to emulate the likes of Sadio Mane, Mohamed Salah, and the idiot El Hadj Diouf. But obviously, with him being from that sort of region, you can understand why he mentioned that. And it's weird. It's not a weird, but we've seen the players over the last few signings that we've made have actually come out and made it pretty public that their only destination that they want to go and play for is Liverpool Football Club. We saw Kirkes come out yesterday, agree or don't or disagree with his antics about how much he wants to join, and this is the only club he wants to join. And then obviously we've seen what happened with Frimpong. He made it very, very clear it was Liverpool. Um, and what's his name? Florian Wirtz has come out. Obviously, he rejected Man City, Bayern Munich, and Real Madrid to get his move to Liverpool, and it was only Liverpool. And I think we're going for players that have actually given us the full-on thumbs up. If we want a player, we'll speak to him. If he's happy and he wants to come, then we'll make the deal pretty much happen. I'm pretty confident that if Liverpool want to sign him. Liverpool sign him. In regards to the fee, I saw, figures of around 50 million euros. First and foremost, question to the everybody on there: would you play 50 million euros for Malik Fofana? I think that works out around 42, 43 million pounds. Um, or do you reckon that the max that we would pay for this player is around the 35, 40 mark? Is Malik Fofana, would you pay 50 million euros for this player? Right. Let me see. Promo goes no, 50 million euros is the new Luca. And I think Luca, that's a fair comment. The 50 million euros is the new 30, 35 million euros. I get that. I think what you have to try to understand is, fees in terms of these type of players. You're gonna have to pay slightly over the odds. He has got a really high ceiling, as I mentioned. Quite a few no's, quite a few yeses. Oops. SF 35 million pounds, I think is fair. I think, um, Cash says yes. Awam said 35 to 40. Michael says yes. Ibu says 35 million. I hope you're talking pounds here. Now 30 with add-ons, 50 max. 50 million euros is 40. Lauren goes 50 million euros is 43 million. Still a bit steep. Ideally under 40 million. Look, we were signing players like Mane and Salah, 8, 9 years ago, around 38, 39 million pounds. So with the inflation and what sort of players are going for recently, then there is a scope that you might have to pay around the 35 million, 40 million mark, with a bit of with add-ons. 40 million pounds is, I'd say, the right figure for a player of Malik Fofana's quality. And I think that if Liverpool were to offer him 40 million pounds, I think that deal that we get that deal completed because he's a player that makes sense. I like him. I think at Liverpool, the nerds at Liverpool will probably like him too. And I'd be happy to take him, but I wouldn't be happy to take him if Malik Fofana is a replacement for Diaz and we don't really go and sign an elite striker. Malik Fofana is the player that you bring in. He'll place, start off a second fiddle behind Gakpo, but then that doesn't mean that doesn't negate the need for a real number nine. And when I mention real number nine, I mean top quality. We mentioned on the show yesterday that we are after Alexander Isak, and there were some reports that come out that Liverpool will go and do whatever it takes to try and get Isak over the line. Whether that deal happens, it's for another day. As long as we ask the question, that's all we can ask for. Another Frenchman that Liverpool are linked to is obviously you've seen the links with Ekitike. And if it means Ekitike and Fofana this summer and Diaz stays, but I think I would be really, really happy with that. If I said to you now, question to you everybody again, if Malik Fofana and it was Ekitike this summer, but Diaz stayed, I think that is a win-win window for Liverpool Football Club. I think that makes sense. And Ekitike and a Malik Fofana and Diaz stayed. I think that's a good window. Then if you look at this teams, we've got Ekitike, we've got our left winger sorted, then we've got our number 10 with Kirkez and Frimpong. I think a lot of players would probably say, and if I said to you, that's it, we're not going to be making any more signings, would we all be happy with them 5 signings at the end of this window, having kept Luis Diaz as well? A lot of people will come out and say, "Oh, we didn't sign a centre back," and I get that. But we've gone and practically sorted out every sort of position that really needed addressing, bar one centre back thingy, and we missed, and that is a bit of a shame because we missed out on Dean Huijsen at the start of the window. So I look at the centre backs and I think, where really are we going to go with this? I don't really want to see major change. People have mentioned, and obviously we don't exactly know what's going to happen with Robbo right now. News came out in regards to Robbo that he hasn't actually decided what he's going to do. He's going to go away, take the time out over the next week or two, and where then decide where his future lies. With me 1 second. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Robbo, because if Robbo goes, there's a chance Simicas might go too. And I believe if a bid did come in for him, even though I don't want to sell both, I want to be able to keep him. Then I think we'll see the likes of Heto come in. And that side, you mentioned you think we go for Hato. I don't know, because if we're signing Kirkez, and I suppose if Simicast leaves, then you've got a chance of getting Hato. If Simicast doesn't leave, then no chance we get Hato. I'd be very, very surprised if anybody if Gerald Hato was at Liverpool Football Club, if Simicast stayed too. I can't see that happening. You never walk alone says just get Isak. Look, we've spoke about Isak in length. Isak is a player that Liverpool will make a move for. And I think deep down, Newcastle probably know that Liverpool will come for Alexander Isak. I think if Liverpool pay a sum of 130 to 135 million pounds, I think we get him. That's a lot of money, and I am asking Liverpool to go and break the transfer record again, having just spent 116 million on Florian Wirtz. But this is what you have to do. You have to go into the market and be strong. We mentioned many a times, there are plenty of sales that Liverpool can do and bring in the door. But I think over the next few weeks, I think outgoings is going to be priority. Um, we're going to see the likes of Darwin Núñez. We've seen him linked to Napoli, and we heard yesterday that obviously the Saudi clubs are still interested in him. And then the Harvey Elliott situation, we don't know what's going to happen with Kwanzaa. There are moving parts of this jigsaw that players will leave this summer, and I think it's about seeing where we are in a month's time and then reevaluating everything. Players like Ekatike, they're willing to wait for Liverpool to come in and get the deal over the line. And that's a good sign because it just goes to show that whoever we are going for in world football is dying to play for this football club. They're not coming for money. They're coming to because they want to be successful. They want to play for this huge institution. And I don't want us to just go and spend crazy money on anyone. The only player that I'm willing to pay stupid wages for was Victor Osimhen, and that's simply because his transfer fee is going to probably be around 60 million euros, and I think he's worth it for the next 3 or 4 years. He will take you to the next level. He is an unbelievable forward. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Shide, big up. Is Isak coming if Pedro leaves to Newcastle? Look, we spoke about this in terms of Pedro. Look, I don't know if he's a Callum Wilson replacement because I know there was talk about Callum Wilson leaving, but then we were told that Callum Wilson might be staying at the football club and sign an extension. So we don't really know, but it's a sign that maybe there is legs that if Pedro does leave, we are Newcastle ain't left in the lurch, trying to look for a striker if they were to sell Alexander Isak. Isak deep down is probably dying to come to us, and that's how that's my personal opinion. And I think he will do whatever it takes to make that move. He's not going to want to try to disrespect Newcastle, but you have to if you want a move and you want to come to a club like Liverpool and your club isn't really willing to sell, then sometimes you have to push it along a little bit. And I think that's what it's going to have to take for Alexander Isak to try and push the deal through if he can, and come to an agreement. Look, 130 million pounds is a lot of money, and if there's a club at Liverpool and are willing to pay that, then it sort of makes sense. Eugene goes, does Isak have the balls to ask for a move though? He looks very respectful. Look, he seemed like a very respectful guy from what we've seen him in interviews. He spoke about Anfield, about outside of St James's Park, Anfield was the best atmosphere and it's the ground that he loved the most. Um, and when a team like Liverpool comes, who's at the pinnacle in terms of English football, just won a title, you can see this team going again, especially over the next few years. Football's a short career sometimes, and you've got to look at where you're at. He's at Newcastle. Yes, done amazing. He's done amazingly well there. He's won him a title. Sorry, he won them a trophy in obviously the Carabao Cup, the first one in 60, 70 years. And then, he delivered the Champions League for them. So he's done a lot already. And if he's bringing in 120, 30 million pounds, can they really begrudge him? The only thing is they don't really need the money, do they? Um, so it's just about being able to come to a medium where both parties are happy. Look, we were speaking about this yesterday. I think if Liverpool got Isak, and Newcastle had the guarantee of, they got João Pedro and then got, an Ekatike, for example, and they were like in for Ekatike. That makes sense because we get our number one target. Newcastle get João Pedro and a player that's got, a pedigree. They'll probably look at as the next Isak in terms of the way he's played, and it sort of makes sense as to what happens. Ali goes, Newcastle want Jota. That's an interesting one. Now, if Newcastle want Jota, that makes sense because then Liverpool could really make this deal happen because then we could offload Jota. We know with the injuries that he's had, over especially over his full time injuries, and to be honest with you, I love Diego Jota, but I'm sick to death of these injuries. And availability is key, and he simply hasn't given us that. And I know people will come at me and now say, "Oh, Isak hasn't given his availability." The issue that I've got with Jota is, generally speaking, over the years, why I defended him was when he used to play, he used to score, but recently he hasn't been scoring and the availability is not there. So when you've got a player that's not scoring and the availability is not there, I think it's time that you basically move on and say, you know what, you've done decent. And if it meant us getting Alexander Isak, I'd be over the moon. There's over nearly 250 of you guys in the chat today. Please do like and subscribe to the channel. It does, we are, like I mentioned earlier, we are trying to get on our way to. Sorry, guys. My new iPad just took a bit of a fall. But like I was saying, do like and subscribe to the channel. We are on our way to 20K, and we are trying to bring you. Look, this is me sat in Turkey at my workplace, um, doing a show, and I've got people walking past looking at me thinking, "What the hell is this guy doing?" But I promised myself, and I promised everybody else that we will do whatever we can to make sure that we don't slack in terms of giving you content. We've promised you at least 2 or 3 shows a day, and that's what we're trying to do. Right, Avi, let's. Oh, Yara, where's Avi's comment? Everyone's asking. Rolepege, Bashiko's big up. Let's to do 7 in minimum. Just wait. Look, to be fair to the blue chip, he has mentioned, and he mentioned it a long time ago, that there will be a reset. I don't know if he meant if that reset included Salah or Van Dijk at the time, but I have to give the guy credit. He called it a long time ago that this summer will be a summer of reset. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I didn't really believe him, but it seems like this is the not a full reset, but a revamp. Definitely a revamp where Trent's gone. It looks like Robbo probably might be going. If it's Nunes, even there's talks of Diaz. I know he probably won't be going to Barcelona if they sign Nico, but and then Harvey Elliott, players that we never deep down probably didn't think, we probably thought he'd probably stay for a year or two. But it seems like the reset is sort of taking place. So I've got to give him credit for that. So big up to Blue Chip for that. Promo goes, Gene, do you think Arsenal are checking Ikanse before moving in on a striker? Maybe, but I don't think Arsenal get him. I think and you might think why, but I think if he would want to come to Liverpool Football Club. I don't believe any nine in world football, if we are in for him, is going to choose Arsenal over Liverpool right now. That's my personal opinion. I just don't see it because when you've got Salah, Wirtz, and Diaz, and you're the nine with two flying fullbacks. What more do you want? You've got everything on a plate. Yes, Arsenal will have Saka and they've got Martinelli and they probably will sign another midfielder. But Liverpool have got something else about them. The way we play. And I think Arteta sometimes in terms of his tactics is slightly negative. But Liverpool this coming season, you can just feel that there's something brewing, there's something special. And we as fans feel ultimately go all out on every single front. So they don't really bother me. I'm worried about whoever we want. And this transfer window so far has proven, Promo, that whoever Liverpool want, Liverpool will get. And this is the first time in a long time that I felt this confident in a transfer window, regardless of who played. The only player that we missed out on was on Dean Huijsen. And he's a player that, I think he would have chosen us over all of the rest. Obviously, Madrid came in and obviously, he's Spanish and he wanted to go back there. But look, I'm not going to sit here and be good to him. If that's him. He wanted to do that. So fair play to him. I'll just go through. Hassan goes London over Liverpool. Them days are gone, mate. Them days are gone. Yep, yep, yep. Yeah, so look, generally speaking, in terms of this transfer window, I think obviously it's a massive, massive week. We've got obviously hopefully the Kirkez announcement in terms of the agreement. I think you'll probably get that at some point this week. Obviously, we've been told Florian Wirtz will be uh you know, probably coming flying in on Thursday to carry out his medical on Friday. So Florian Friday, isn't far away. And then we are seeing these links to Malik Fofana and a few of the players. So there will be, I think Liverpool are in talks and they're making a lot of moves in this transfer window. We called it a summer of madness, and I think this summer will be a summer of madness. There's a lot of business to still do, a lot of business. Abby mentioned 7 players. I think maybe not 7, but 6. I think makes sense. This summer, 7. Yeah, I can don't. I'm not saying it's not can't happen. It won't. Oh, it definitely can happen, especially the way we're moving in the market right now. 3 practically in the door, already linked to a couple after that. Players that probably want to come to us if we went and made the move. Um, Adam goes, Elliot is well advanced for Aston Villa. I think good move for him and Villa. And then Villa get a player that's played for Liverpool, been there, on the up. It makes sense. That sort of deal makes sense. And I think for Elliot, it's a good move. With Elliot getting to that team, when I look at Jacobs, Rogers, some of their wingers, I don't know what's happening with obviously Rashford and a few others. Will he be able to get in that? And I don't know if they're going to keep the PSG forward Asensio because he probably plays in that Elliot sort of role. Um, Bailey, yeah. Difficult way to think, but maybe they're not going to get Asensio then. That's probably a deal that they're probably not going to do. Hence why they're probably going for Harvey Elliott. Yeah, Promo goes Elliott takes Asensio's place. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. And I think we'll be able to get a decent amount of money out of them as well. I know they've got PSR issues, but I think we will be able to get a decent amount of money out of them. Let me check anything else. Okay, then, guys, who do you think is the next one through the door after Florian Wirtz? Do you think it's going to be a winger, striker, or centre back? Question to you all: winger, striker, or centre back? GM goes, I take Rodgers from Villa. You know what? I would have taken Rodgers, but I think Rodgers plays in the same role. Probably plays in the 10. I know he can play slightly out wide, but I think we get. Um, I think it's a difficult deal. Striker, yeah. Look, yeah, Kirkes. Of course, after Kirkes and Wirtz, I think that's what I probably meant. Yeah, Razlish goes centre back. Gordon Doyle goes Fafana. Interesting. He thinks he's pretty confident that it's going to be Fafana. Mateus goes striker. Hari Krishnan says centre back. Nifsa says striker. Kirka Sales then striker. Yeah, look, I think I think I'm more on that sort of vibe. If it's Isak, I think that drags, and I think we will bring in another position. But if it's not Isak, then I think it'll be a Ekitike. Winger, you mean after because yeah, I mean striker. Diego's Osimhen. I think a lot of clubs are in for Osimhen. Obviously, we've seen United are in for him. There are other clubs that do want him. Obviously, there's the interest from Saudi as well. So I don't really know what's going to happen, if I'm honest. It'll be interesting to see what happens. And would I love him? Yes. I think everyone's number one target is Alexander Isak, and then it's probably Osimhen ahead of the likes of Sesko or and Ekitike. I'm definitely all in Osimhen if we don't get Isak. I just think the deal makes complete sense. Anything else? Is there any other links? Oh, that's the chart. Is there have you seen any other links to Liverpool in regards to incomings? I've been quite busy. Obviously, I'm at work in Turkey and I try and I haven't really seen anything else unless there's something else that you guys have seen. Isak, Alvarez, Osim, and in that order. Yeah, I agree. Razif, that's probably the same order for me, but I just think Alvarez might be a really, really difficult one. Avi goes Akialucci. We spoke about this Avi about a week and a half ago, about um us being linked to him. Somebody goes 60 million-ish. Oof, that is a lot of money, man. 60 million. That for me, that ain't happening. That's definitely not happening. I can't see us playing. He's a good player, but he's not 60 million plus. Uh, Gene, what do you think? Yes, and news will break. We don't want it sorted ASAP. Lonian goes, look, I think Isak, we need to sell a few. Definitely need to sell a few before we make any moves. In regards to Alexander Isak. Oh, fuck, what do you do for work? Look, buying and selling from Turkey, man. That's what I do. All sorts of stuff from here. Um, Jaros and Kwanzaa. Yeah, I think their deals. Sorry, where's it gone now? Andreas, their deals, two deals that will probably take place over the next, I think a month and a half. I think obviously Kwanzaa's at the under 21s now, so I think you're probably gonna have to wait until he returns back from international duty and take it from there. Outgoings. Actually, Lucio is it's in euros. All right, Kilic is in euros. So it's still 60 million euros. It's still talking 50 plus million. Um, I don't know. I'm not fully sold on it. See, they're already calling me out. Um, I'm not fully sold on him. I probably need to see a bit more of him if I'm honest with you and take it from there. Uh, Gold looks like he's gonna give us some banking advice. Nah, yeah, no banking advice. It's just work, work, work. Um, I'm just hoping. All right, I think this is the last one I'm going to do before I call it a day. It had to be a quick show because I'm here. I'm based here. I'm just hoping we get links to Devinter and Diomande. I think there was some links to Diomande about a few weeks ago. He's a player that I would do whatever it took to get. I really like Diomande. We've spoken about Diomande numerous times, and if we could get him in the centre back area, yes, 100%. He is one that I would definitely go in for. We missed out on Hoyson, but I think this lad has a huge ceiling, and he's done really well over the last couple of years. I do believe it's this summer definitely to move. He's proven himself that what he's ready for the jump into to the Premier League, and I think he's ready. I genuinely I think he's ready, and I think we should if he's available at the right sort of money. They are going to demand around 70 million quid though. I don't think he goes on the cheap, so it'll be interesting to see what happens with him. Uh, and the final one, I'll speak about my boy Chiesa. Yeah, Chiesa, unbelievable song. I'm gutted that he's probably going to end up leaving, but I think it hasn't fully worked out for him. He wasn't fit at the start of the season. I was hoping that he could get fit, and hoping that when he did get fit, he's able to crack on, but. He just hasn't. It just hasn't worked out, and sometimes it doesn't. And I think this was the last one where I look at the Italians and think, you know what, I think it's time to say goodbye to Italy. Italians coming to the Premier League. We've been strong a few times now, and he was probably the last one that I thought, you know what, his pace and his um, tenacity. I thought, he might work in the Premier League, but he just physically wasn't there. And I think it's time for him to move on, go back to Italy, and yeah, we'll lose the song. We need to bloody use that tune to think of for another song for another player. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. But yeah, I think guys, it's nearly half an hour. I was supposed to do half an hour today. There's still nearly 260 of you in here. Do like and subscribe to the channel. I'm sure the boys are on tonight. I will try and make tonight shows. If I can't, I think Asim and Avi will be on. Um, yeah, and hopefully I will see you later on. Take care and goodbye.